So the Supreme Court legalized gay marriage all across the land of the US of A. And a lot of people have a problem with that. A lot of people do. And some people aren't. Some people are really happy and ecstatic and think that the whole fight for marriage equality has been won. But no, in all honesty, I believe that shit has just begun. And except the battle that's about to be taking place it kind of terrifies me just a little bit. I am telling you guys, a witch hunt is about to begin. Now before we get into that, I think it's really important that we actually sit by and actually talk about why do people even want to get married in the first place. In fact, the interesting thing that you're going to learn about gay marriage is some gay people actually didn't want to get married in the first place. Don't believe me? Just watch.
Some people in the gay community are against it too. Our first guest, Ken, is one of those people. He has been in a gay relationship for 16 years, but he opposes gay marriages. Ken, tell us why.
Ricky, I'm 57. I actually have been in two long-term relationships, one for 14, that first lover died of AIDS, unfortunately. And my present lover and I will celebrate our 16th anniversary this year. I've been a gay man for 30 years. I played sports in high school. When straight people told me that I was a queen or a faggot, you know what we did in San Francisco? We created a gay softball league. We didn't ask straight permission to like sports. We have never asked for approval from the gay community. But suddenly now in the year 2003, we need a piece of paper that says we're legitimate. We don't need a piece of paper. Marriage is in the heart. Marriage is between your hearts and your mind.
I agree with you, but shouldn't it be the next gay person's right to have that piece of paper if he wants to?
Well, first of all, was marriage created by straight societies to discriminate against gay people in the first place? No. It was created to celebrate the coming together of a man and a woman to have a child and a so-called nuclear family that we talked about in the last 30 or 40 years. It wasn't created to discriminate against gay people.
Now, I think it's really important that we actually start this discussion by talking about what marriage was in principle. See, the whole reason why every ancient civilization even had marriage was about procreation. That's why only men and women could get married. A lot of people were against gay marriage, not because they hated gay people, but because, well, in principle, gay people couldn't get married because they couldn't procreate. The whole reason why we had marriage was about men and women having children. That's why it was a lifetime bond. Interestingly enough, gay people in ancient civilizations didn't even touch the concept of marriage. Why? Well, because they understood marriage in principle was about men and women and procreation. However, in our modern contemporary society, marriage, well, the definition of marriage has changed. I'm well aware of the fact that concepts do change and evolve over time, and that's the reason why gay people now even wanted the whole marriage thing in the first place. See, in our modern contemporary society, we were actually able to disconnect the idea of sex being about procreation. And with sex not being about procreation, we were able to disconnect marriages about being about procreation as well. Now marriage is just something you do with someone that you really love a lot, not something you do to start having and raising a family. So a lot of gay people saw that and they thought to themselves, hey, we can do that shit too. Also, they saw that there are actually a lot of tax benefits to marriage. For some odd reason, the state decided to put its hands on marriage because the state loves putting its hands into everything that we fucking do. So yeah, as it turns out, a lot of pastors weren't against gay marriage because they hated gay people. It was because, well, in principle, they just couldn't do it. I mean, it's kind of like saying dogs can't fly. It's not that they disliked gay people, it's just, they just couldn't do it. But anyway, none of that really matters now because the Supreme Court ratified gay marriage, or legalized gay marriage everywhere. So it doesn't really matter now. Yeah, but even with all that being said, I have a bit of a problem with that. Except the problem that I have is not the problem that you think I have. No, I have a real issue with not the decision, but how we got to the climate that allowed this decision to fucking happen. Now, if you have been paying attention to what I've been saying for the past couple of minutes, you'll notice that I said several times, it's not that people hate gay people, it's blah 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 blah. Well, there's a very important reason for that. You see, a lot of people, when they were rallying the cry or supporting gay marriage, a lot of the time they lambasted anyone who disagreed with them as a hateful bigot. They usually said a whole bunch of stupid shit like, you're a homophobe, you're a bigot, you're on the wrong side of history. Now, I have a really big problem with that. And the problem I have with that is, it wasn't logical arguments that convinced people to, side with gay marriage, or it was fear. It was fear of losing your job and your livelihood. That's right, anybody who said anything negative about gay marriage in places where a lot of the employers actually were fans of gay marriage or supported it were lambasted and treated as if they were hateful, angry bigots. Now, let me be clear. Is it true that there were some people who really hated gay people? I mean, yeah, do I really have to say it? I mean, Ruckus Like, help me out here.
Look, we know. We fucking know.
Yes, we know. The West Baptist Brew Church does exist, and they really do hate gay people. In fact, there are lots of people who really hate gay people. In fact, there were lots of anti-gay marriage people who really fucking hated gay people. But even with all that being said, all these people who are bigots and all these people who are homophobic, even though I'm sure they weren't actually scared of gay people, a lot of people never really actually took time to ask the most important question that needs to be asked. Are these people wrong? You see, a lot of people weren't actually convinced of this decision to allow gay marriage to happen because of reasonable logical arguments. A lot of these people were led to think that gay marriage was okay because they were forced into either not speaking out, losing their job, or forced to be told that they're hateful, evil people because they're on the wrong side of history and they, are voting for discrimination and shit like that. A lot of people lost their businesses. A lot of people lost their jobs because they said things about gay people that somebody didn't like. Whatever they said didn't even necessarily have to be a negative thing about gay people. You could have just expressed that you disagreed with the idea of gay marriage and you would still be lambasted as a terrible person. Now, that should bother everybody. What should bother people is the fact that we are no longer under the rule of law. We're under the rule of people's fucking feelings. As long as you label anything as bad, hateful, or sometimes misogynistic, if you rally up people's feelings, you can label one group as evil and one group as good and pure. And since most people want to be good people, or at least perceived as good people, they're going to lead on the side that is thought of as righteous and good, and attack without impunity people who are on the opposite side of that spectrum. As long as you convince people that they're doing the right thing, even when it's completely fucking evil and dastardly and incredibly sinister, you can get them to do anything. A lot of people didn't come to the decision of supporting gay marriage because they actually thought it was a good idea or because of logical arguments. They came to support it because a lot of people either scared them into the position, or because they were shot down by a bunch of angry, hateful insults, or because a lot of people didn't even let them talk or fired them from their jobs. And honestly, no matter how you may feel about the Supreme Court decision, that should fucking terrify you. We are under the rule of people's feelings. It doesn't matter what it is. If enough people feel a particular way about something, if they're in a position of power and they hold your fucking job, your whole livelihood in their hands because they don't feel the way you feel, you can lose everything. And that is terrifying. Interesting thing I noticed, a lot of people who even said stuff about gay marriage, just half the time were just like, I don't agree with it. And they would lose their jobs. That's terrible. Number one thing that I don't understand is how come that doesn't bother anybody? I mean, the thing that really bothers me here is if there is any logical argument for gay marriage, then why did anybody ever have to rely on you're a homophobe, you're a bigot, and you're on the wrong side of history? Surely the truth would have spoken for you, right? If you had a logical argument, you should have just let the logical argument speak for itself and let people make a decision based on that. Why in the hell do we even have to lambast these people as evil or hateful or bigots? Now, the truth of the matter is there is actually a very logical argument as to why you would let gay marriage happen. I mean, think about it like this. The argument would probably follow something like this. Marriage is about people who love each other, right? Well, two gay people can love each other. Therefore, gay marriage should be perfectly fine because it's about people loving each other. Now, that is indeed a valid argument. But the ultimate question should be, is that a sound argument? In other words, is everything that I said true? Again, to a lot of the people who are about traditional marriage, it wasn't a sound argument, because what wasn't true was, in principle, marriage was about procreation, not about how much you loved each other. Now, it's true that you loving the individual did certainly help, but in principle, that's not what it was about. But one thing that I hear when a lot of people argue about gay marriage is that they weren't really actually talking about love. It really kind of seemed like they want more of the rights that came with gay marriage, and that came with marriage. And the way I saw it was, you can just give them the rights without even calling it marriage. I mean, if that's really what you wanted. One thing that I heard a lot was that some gay people weren't able to go see their loved ones when they were in the hospital. And the way I see it is, that's really more of a problem with the hospitals than it is a problem with the state. I mean, why couldn't the hospitals just let the nigga go see him? I don't really understand that. It really seemed that gay people's more, primarily upset with hospitals than marriage. Then there was the fact that I saw a whole bunch of gay people more argue about property rights. The fact that they are not entitled to their partner's stuff when they die. Which again, looks like you're more arguing about the privileges of being married than, your love being ratified. If, love is love, then why do you even need a marriage? There are lots of heterosexual people now who think marriage is just a piece of paper. I mean, seriously, it's not, but if love is love, why does the state need to acknowledge it? Personally, I don't think the state should have anything to do with marriage, but I'm just some nigga on the internet. But again, none of that actually really matters because, again, gay marriage has now been legalized, so there's nothing really to be fought for here. All I'm saying is, I have a huge problem with how we got to this point. This point where we now lambast people who don't feel the way we feel with evil, hateful words. That's a very sinister way to control people, because that's all it is. Control. It's thought control. It's lambasting and turning otherwise good people into the enemy in other people's eyes because they don't feel the way you feel. Not because they're actually discriminating against anybody, not because they're actually hurting anybody, not because they're actually doing something wrong, because they don't feel the way you feel. Personally, I would have had no real issue with this whole gay marriage thing if someone actually would have given me a logical argument. A logical sound argument, you know? The whole love is love thing doesn't really hold water. I mean, yeah, love is love. A dog is a dog. A box is a box. I mean, yes, love is love by definition. That's not a logical argument to be had. I know some people in the audience are probably sitting there like, but Zeus, don't you think there is an invisible man in the sky who's watching all over us? No I don't. Whoever the fuck told you that lies straight to your face? And then there are other people in the audience who are probably like, Zeus, don't you think a mystical sky fairy created the universe? No. No I don't. Whoever the fuck told you that lies straight to your face. But again, getting back on track, I said all of that to make a point. The point is, I had more of an issue with the fact that people were labeled as others and enemies to convince other people to support you. Not the fact that the truth was enough. The truth wasn't enough for these people, because there was no truth to be had. All that happened was you labeled somebody as enemies, you called them evil, you took away their jobs, and you made everybody hate them, and you say they were on the wrong side of history to convince them to join your side or to push them away from you. I have a huge problem with that, because again, it suggests that we're not under the rule of logical, rational reasoning, we're under the rule of people's emotions and feelings. That means if enough people feel a particular way about something, as long as you just label the other side who's against them as the enemy, as evil, cruel, racist, misogynistic, or whatever, people are going to rely on their emotional feelings instead of rational arguments to convince them to do something. The way I see it is this. If these people were really on the side of truth, they wouldn't need to label anyone as a hateful bigot. Why? Because then the ultimate question would need to be asked. Even if someone was a hateful, homophobic, wrong side of history looking mother sucker, the ultimate question that needs to be asked about any logical argument they made about gay marriage was, are they right? And the truth of the matter is they could have been completely wrong, and that would have been fine if they were wrong. The real problem here is the fact that we didn't even actually talk about whether or not they were wrong, we just talked about how we felt about them and labeled them a bad way. And by we, I mean, you know, mainstream society. So again, that's really my whole problem here. My problem is that we're othering people, and we're not actually winning these fights by being good people or by letting the truth speak for itself. These people are winning these fights by convincing other people that some people is evil and they're righteous and good on the right side of history, and they're just, it's all pandering to people's emotional feelings instead of the truth. Now, I understand how YouTube works, okay? I've been on this website for, 7 years now? I know that some people are probably going to unsubscribe because of this video. Not because I said anything negative about gay people. In fact, if you watch the video, I never said anything bad about gay people at all. I didn't say anything bad about gay marriage either. In fact, I didn't even actually say my opinion on gay marriage. I just talked about definitions and stuff in principle. But even though I didn't say anything negative about gay marriage, and even though I didn't say anything negative about gay people, somebody's still going to get their feelings hurt. Somebody's still going to unsubscribe, and well, I can't stop you. The only thing I can say is, well, I'm sorry. Me and you are two different people, and we're going to feel differently about the world around us. We were raised by two different people in two different areas. We're not going to agree on the same thing. And it do you wise to get over that shit for the rest of your fucking life. No, in all honesty, if anyone really gets mad with this video, all you have to remember is there ain't shit I can do. I'm just some nappy-headed nigga on the internet. There is nothing I can do. At all. I am ultimately powerless. So, you getting upset with me about me sharing my opinion on a video you decided to watch, yeah, I mean, you're wasting your time, and there's no reason to be mad because I can't do anything. Sorry, if you subscribe to this channel to hear your opinion be spat back at you all the time, I'm sorry, you subscribed to the wrong channel. But now you're going to rectify that by unsubscribing. So if you do choose to unsubscribe, all I can say is thank you for being subscribed up to this point. I appreciate all of the views and all of the likes that you gave me. I really do. And I wish you safe travels across the internet. For everyone else who decided to stay and, watch the video up to this point, all I have to say is, thank you. So with that being said, man, I certainly hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, man, go ahead and click that like button. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comments below, and as always, have yourself a great day. I will see you cool cats soon. Adios.